People are treating Google like their most trusted friend. Should they be?
Well, I think judgment matters. If you have something that you don't want anyone to know, maybe you shouldn't be doing it in the first place. But if you really need that kind of privacy, the reality is that search engines, including Google, do retain this information for some time.
All right, let that be a warning to you. Joining us now is Dr. Robert Epstein, Senior Scientist, American Institute of Behavioral Science, former Editor-in-Chief of Psychology Today. Doctor, welcome, sir.
Well, good to be here, Steve.
Okay, well, there's so many directions we could take this in, but I do want to talk about a piece that I saw that you wrote. And to me, this was at Politico, and I think this is so very, very scary. And this talks about the 2016 presidential election and the role that Google could play in rigging the election, if you will.
Yes, well, it goes beyond that. The piece I wrote for Politico is based on some new research that I just published with Ronald Robertson in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, which is quite a mouthful. But the point is, it's a big, important study. And what it actually shows is that not that Google could play a role, but that Google has been playing a role in elections around the world for a long time, and it is going to play a role in the upcoming presidential election.
How so? How so?
Well, because what we discovered, and we call this SEME, S-E-M-E, the search engine manipulation effect. What we discovered is that when one candidate is favored in search rankings, that is up higher and looks better in search rankings, that drives the votes of the undecided, the swing voters, toward that candidate. And we thought when we started this research, we'd find it was a tiny little effect, and we'd shift over 1 or 2% or something. But it turns out it is a huge effect, especially in some demographic groups. This is a big effect.
All right. So did it affect the 2012 election, the presidential election?
Probably.
All right, and how? How would it have done that?
Well, Google's own data, which I can give you access to if you like for your viewers, Google's own data shows that there was a lot more search activity for Obama than for either McCain in 2008 or Romney in 2012. This indicates either that Obama was favored in search rankings, of course, which drives a lot of search activity, or that that the greater search activity was driving Obama up in rankings. Either way,
but if a person enters, as a naive layman here, if a person enters Obama into the search engine, they could just as easily enter Romney. So how is Google driving that person to search and enter? How is it influencing the person on what they search for?
All that matters, the bottom line, is whether or not, for any reason, it could be because of an executive at Google, it could be because of a rogue employee at Google, or just because of what the algorithm does naturally, okay? If for any reason a candidate ends up higher in search rankings, and now think about this, Steve, that's what the search engine is for, isn't it? That's what it's for, that's what it does, is it puts some things up higher than others. If for any reason one candidate ends up higher, that can flip an election. That drives votes. In a country this big, it could drive millions of votes toward that candidate.
So someone would have to enter presidential election, and then the first thing that would come up would be that Obama as opposed to Romney, is what you're saying?
No, not at all. They can enter immigration. They can enter
any topic as opposed to the name of the candidate. I see. Okay, gotcha.
Yes, gotcha. So hundreds of different topics. But the point is, if what happens is one candidate ends up higher in those rankings when they do a search, that drives votes.
And do you believe? I'm sorry, because we're short on time. Do you have reason to believe, Doctor, that for whatever reason the Democratic candidate has the edge in the presidential election when it comes to Google?
Oh, positively. Google clearly chooses. They donated more than $800,000 to Obama and only $37,000 to Romney. And Hillary herself just hired as her chief technology officer Stephanie Hannon, who's a former high-ranking executive at Google. There is simply no question about this.
All right. Well, this is interesting and frightening at the same time, and fascinating. We'll have you back, Doctor. Very interesting, and I urge everyone to go to Politico.com and check out how Google could rig the 2016 election. Appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, folks. We're coming back. I'll tell you, the integrity of the U.S. elections, I think it leaves a lot to be desired. We're coming back. Don't go away.